Hello, everyone. This is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today for my first annual astrology forecast for the year 2024. First of all, Happy New Year to you all. I hope that you enjoyed your holidays. If you've already broken your New Year's resolutions, don't feel too bad about that. Today is just as good a day as any other to change your life. So, before I get into the forecast, I have an important message that I would like to share with everyone. Over the past several days, I have been trying to figure out how to share this information responsibly and effectively, and ultimately I decided that the message is too deep to duct tape to this broadcast, and that I would be doing myself and you guys a disservice by not deep diving into this particular topic at another time, which will more than likely be at the end of this month. So, as Saturn moves towards Neptune in Pisces, the ugly truth about the reality of the food chain on this planet will become more evident, okay? Some of the prevailing themes of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction will be the Wizard of Oz being exposed, massive outrage, massive disillusionment, the beginning of a world war used to justify genocide based on a eugenics project, the collective being baited or goaded into war, and also a sneering demon. Okay, those are some of the prevailing themes that will crop up during the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I'm going to discuss some more throughout my commentary. Now it's time to provide the yearly overview for the collective, not the individual signs. I'm going to cover that in a separate section. So at the top of the year, January 2nd, 2024, Mercury will go direct in Sagittarius at 22 degrees and 14 minutes. And because it is transit and it's retrograde, the collective will have more conversations about international affairs of foreign countries, legal action, higher education, academic institutions. There's a desire for less opinion or conjecture in favor of cold hard facts that can be substantiated. Mercury in Sagittarius is in its fall, so individuals may still, or the collective may still miss the trees for the forest, okay? Again, academic institutions will be under scrutiny for the entirety of the year, not just for the month of January. And there's going to be a lot of deception used to justify ideological viewpoints that are based on religious or dogmatic beliefs. The year also started off with Mars in Sagittarius conjunct Mercury, square Neptune in Pisces. And again, this is an aspect of ideological warfare ending in tragedy and treachery, the ritualistic sacrifice of women and children happening covertly, the blood of innocents being used to strengthen deities and dark forces that are in support of ideologies that are inherently anti-human. The seeds of genocide are being planted during the darkness of winter to transfer human energy to these unseen forces. When we have Neptune square Mars, this is the fog of war, deception being used to justify crimes against humanity, ideology and subterfuge being used to justify the ritualistic killing of innocent people. The blood of innocent people is very important because this amplifies the power of the ritual. Now we have the dispositive Mars in Sagittarius conjunct Uranus in Taurus. Again, ideological warfare, technology used to destabilize, destroy, and expand the power of dark forces or hidden forces. Immigration is also being weaponized against the nation. There's a possibility of a potential attack against this homeland right before, during, or after the 2024 presidential election. We talk about Mars in Sagittarius conjunct Mercury in Sagittarius, especially in the retrograde. This is the weaponization of information to further an ideology, not caring about other people's perspectives, other people's viewpoints. This is highly subjective reasoning. Information is being manipulated to further a cause. This is the war against information in favor of an ideology or dogma. Institutions of higher learning invalidated or discredited due to ideological differences. There will also be a collective disillusionment with religious, academic, ideological, or media institutions. And again, deception and subterfuge is used to legalize the codification of ideologies based on religious intolerance, ideological warfare, mass killing of children or innocent people, suppression of media, weaponization of media. Okay. So at the beginning of the year, we also had Mars in Sagittarius square the moon in Virgo. This is another aspect that indicates that there's going to be some sort of war against the motherland or the homeland or the nation. The intention is for indoctrination and disruption of culture, community, and family to weaken a national identity or the connection to one's homeland. The attack on the homeland is promoted as some sort of ideological warfare or terrorist attack, but in actuality, this is orchestrated in secret to facilitate the codification of laws that will legalize genocide, censorship, and ideologies that support eugenics. And this is treachery against the collective, with Mars in Sagittarius square the moon in Virgo, opposite Saturn in Pisces. There's some betrayal here when you have Pisces involved in any aspect, okay? So for November 5th of this year, we do have the US presidential election. From what I'm seeing in the chart for that particular day, there's a possibility of some sort of black swan event or false flag event with Mars in Leo at 0 degrees, opposite Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. 29 degrees represents endings of a cycle or of a paradigm, okay? Mars opposite Pluto, Mars in Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius is like the kings versus the commoners or the plebeians. Again, with this aspect, there's a potential of some sort of war or attack on the homeland committed by a foreigner, an immigrant, or some sort of religious fundamentalist. Mars and the Sun are in mutual reception. This increases the possibility of war, conflict, danger, a strategic attack on the government or by the government. It's a possibility of an election disruption. It seems as if the current president will not step down because he is not in power. He's not governing anything. He's just a figurehead being used to placate the masses and divide the masses. Because if people still believe in the democratic process, then they're less inclined to revolt or rebel against tyranny, which is what is happening in this government currently. The government has obviously been compromised from within, and that will become quite evident as Saturn conjuncts Neptune over the next year, year and a half. So let's get into Jupiter a little bit. Jupiter transits into Gemini from Taurus on May 25th, 2024. Some of the themes of the Jupiter and Taurus transit have been healthier value systems, energy vampirism, even gluttony. I do suspect that this war action that's been taking place in the Middle East is to feed this Taurian like demon. I'm going to get into that further when I do the separate broadcast about this topic. When Jupiter transits into Gemini, we're going to see an acceleration of AI technology. Another theme is big mouths, little words, big mouths, which means that people with larger platforms will have less of an impact than people with smaller platforms or smaller voices. They have smaller mouths, but they have bigger words, right? If they have big mouths, then they'll have little words. That's what I'm hearing with the Jupiter and Gemini transit. There are going to be more superficial connections, and there's going to be a war with words and wars against words. Pluto will be trine Jupiter in Aquarius this year, which means that language will be weaponized and even criminalized by certain institutions and individuals who want to control the way people think, communicate, and behave. Also, Saturn is transiting through Pisces until May 24th, 2025. There's a retrograde this year in June. So at the beginning of the year, we had Saturn in Pisces, square Venus in Sagittarius, opposing the moon in Virgo. This is the T square, okay? Collectively, we're going to feel a lot of pain, feeling deprived or starved of love and nurturing. There's going to be an increase in theft of property as well. We see that there's going to be a downturn in the financial market this year. This is an aspect for barrenness, low birth weight, eugenics controlling reproduction covertly. Women lose power and freedom over their own bodies in support of religious or fundamental ideologies. There's going to be an increase in homelessness, the deprivation of land and resources. Children may be taken from their mothers because of a law or some sort of political plot. There's the systemic destruction of family, land displacement, people leaving their homes by choice or by force. Those are some of the prevailing themes involving Saturn for this year. Now I'm going to get into Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is going to be in Taurus until April 25th, 2026. Uranus in Taurus does bring about geological instability, causing earthquakes and electric storms and solar flares and wildfires. I do believe that before Jupiter enters Gemini this year, we're going to see another major earthquake or environmental disaster happen within the next 6 months. I hope I'm wrong about this, but I wouldn't be surprised. So Uranus and Taurus is also unstable financial markets, expansion and contraction when Venus goes into Pisces, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, and also during the Mercury retrograde in Virgo and Sagittarius. As a heads up for everybody, social media content creation will change drastically by 2028. Most content creators will have to produce twice as much content to get half as much revenue. Media companies will prefer to use AI models as influencers and brand ambassadors. Society is being conditioned to prefer perfection over authenticity. The rat race becomes digital. The rat race becomes digital. Now, the social media experiment has effectively done what it was supposed to do, which was number one, collect massive amounts of biometric data from the human population. Number two, change the economic structure, change the way that people earn their income, right? This is a whole new industry. Social media content creation and influencing is a whole new industry that is pulling people away from traditional forms of work like nursing, teaching, more so hands-on physical labor, which was another objective because automation is going to get rid of most of those jobs anyway. And social media was supposed to be some sort of safety net to protect people from becoming economically redundant before they were ready. So social media and the pandemic has successfully corralled billions of people onto these spaces so that new systems of governing and finance and education and media, etc., can be put in place. Okay. So again, the rat race becomes digital. I would suggest that every content creator, I don't care how big your channel is, make some contingency plans for the next several years. Make sure you save as much money as possible because they're going to deliberately throttle your viewership and reduce the amount of money you're getting paid for the content that you're creating because they're going to start using AI generated models for content creation. Back to Uranus and Taurus. Taurus natives or individuals with significant Taurus placements should pay attention to their thyroid, especially if you're using these weight loss drugs like or Ozempic or Mounjaro or whatever. Be careful, look out for your thyroid because these drugs do affect the thyroid. And as you guys may know already, Taurus rules the thyroid. So if you have a Taurus sun or significant Taurus placements, please make sure you check up on your thyroid constantly over the next couple years, at the very least, okay? Now, Neptune is transiting in Pisces until March 30th, 2025. Again, common themes are the fogs of war, deception, magical thinking, massive sacrifice, pixelated identities, narcissism, false prophets, betrayal, never catching the dangling carrot, right? I mentioned the rat race becoming digital. Never catching the dangling carrot. Here's the carrot. If you do A, B, C, D, E, then you're going to get the American dream. A lot of people are figuring out that that's not going to ever happen. Neptune and Pisces also represents a sleight of hand, never letting a crisis go to waste, and preparing for spiritual warfare. Millennials, Generation X, and Generation Jones will have to fight the war in two dimensions. Cover this topic more when I discuss the demonic entities. Neptune and Pisces also represent sirens, Pied Pipers, the jinn, parasitic entities, energy vampires, extrasensory perception, lucid dreaming, astral traveling, so on and so forth. Pluto will transit into Aquarius for about 20 years. It is going to be in Aquarius for the majority of the year, but it's going to go retrograde into Capricorn for one last time. So during the Pluto and Aquarius transit, which I will discuss in a separate video, I did a part one a couple years ago discussing the wheel turning 30 degrees from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. But during the Pluto and Aquarius transit, we're going to witness some collective transformation, an increase in parasocial relationships, decentralized power, power to the people, the government clamping down on individual freedoms, taking control of land, taking control of reproduction, genetics, technology, communication, culture, civilization, mass genocide, population control, restricting access to information, locking Prometheus in a cage. Pluto in Aquarius will be a time of major social and civil unrest as the government attempts to outlaw individual and national sovereignty using technocracy. I suspect that the brain implants that they're promoting at this time will be used to feed the parasitic entities that feed off of human energy, aka adrenochrome. So during the Pluto and Aquarius transit, the elites will try to convince the masses that they must sacrifice themselves to benefit the collective. They must make personal sacrifices to benefit the collective. Now, the collective is not aware that these sacrifices will benefit the rich and the powerful who have facilitated the destruction of the world, of humanity, of society. Okay. And so, with the wheel turning 30 degrees from Pisces to Aquarius, technology will be used to control land, genetics, and the human form itself. Now, here's my message for the fixed signs. If you refuse to learn from your mistakes, the Pluto and Aquarius transit will make your life a bit challenging, especially if you refuse to surrender to the circumstances that are forcing you to change. However, if you modify your attitude and your behavior, you will evolve exponentially. Some of you will become very powerful, accomplished, successful, and even wealthier than you even imagined. Just because things don't go one way doesn't mean that they can't go the other way. Find other pathways to success and fulfillment because you will encounter resistance and friction from circumstances and situations beyond your control. And some of these situations may be treacherous, so tread carefully and follow your instincts. Pluto in Aquarius is asking you to use your intellect to navigate through situations. Willpower will not be enough. You have to also be smart, all right? So now let's get into Chiron for the collective. The North Node is in Aries conjunct Chiron. The collective is on a healing journey to redefine their identity and their intrinsic human value. The human tragedy that we're constantly being exposed to has kind of numbed us down and made us apathetic and complicit even in systems that are abusive, exploitative. And with the North Node in Aries conjunct Chiron, we are collectively experiencing an intense desire to redefine relationships with ourselves and other people. Unhappy, unfulfilling, and imbalanced relationships are no longer going to be tolerated because people are learning that their partners are mirroring their own insecurities and inadequacies. And so a lot of people are now taking responsibility for their own healing instead of using their relationship partner to escape or blaming others for the way that we allow ourselves to be treated. As a society, we're also asking ourselves, do we have the right to exist? The collective is currently subconsciously thinking, like, do I have the right to be on this planet, right? Even after the pandemic situation with all these wars going on, homelessness, drug addiction, like, people are really asking themselves, what am I doing here? Do I have the right to be here? Now, there are some weak-minded individuals who will be easily manipulated into hating the individuals who are fighting for their sovereignty because sovereignty honors personal agency and self-mastery. The sheeple who are being manipulated will believe that personal agency is selfish, and they will believe that they're superior to the individuals who have decided to divest from the system. So they'll become tribal to kiss up to the corporatocracy and the elites. Suicide may also increase, unfortunately, as individuals feel hopeless and powerless against the onslaught of chaos, disruption, instability, and disillusionment. There is currently a massive collective existential crisis that humanity is undergoing. And so this is causing confusion, hysteria, depression, but also healing. All these painful experiences is helping us to heal because we are discovering our self-worth as warriors, activists, rebels, fighters, healers, instead of mindless, docile workers running on an endless treadmill of capitalism and hedonism even. During the Chiron in Aries transit, we're also seeing an increase in human rights violations, eugenics, transhumanist population control programs being kicked into high gear, genocidal operations using bioweapons, hot weapons, chemical weapons, and mass trauma, also part of the collective experience. Another characteristic of the Chiron and Aries transit is self-diminishment due to abuse, neglect, dismissal, showing the worst of humanity to condition people into hating each other. You're showing the transgender who have body dysmorphia, the homeless, the mentally ill, the drug addicted, the deplorables of society that are being used to make us hate each other and feel repulsed by each other. And so some of us who are weak-minded will welcome these mass extinction events, this genocide, right? Because if you believe that others deserve to die because they're not perfect or they're flawed or they're dirty or they're drug addicts, then you must find ways to justify that you deserve to live. And in order for you to justify doing that, you will more than likely align with the belief system or an ideology that is in alignment with the eugenics population control agenda. The politicians and the powers that be are intentionally ignoring the needs of the collective to condition them into feeling worthless, useless, powerless, apathetic, disempowered, voiceless, ineffective, weak, etc. Selfhood is being eclipsed with the North Node in Aries conjunct Chiron, okay? The collective is being ignored by the government and the ruling elite, like an abusive parent who neglects their child to make them feel like an irrelevant burden. Collectively, we're seeing apathy being caused by low self-confidence, a sense of surrender, cowardice, depression, decreased vitality, feelings of isolation, and loneliness. People are being asked to sacrifice themselves in service of an ideology that says they don't have the right to exist, as I spoke about with the Pluto and Aquarius transit, and that is being supported by the Chiron and Aries transit as well. With the Chiron and Aries transit, we are also seeing Nazism or some forms of Nazism, whether it's of a different race, culture, religion, doesn't matter. It is becoming more evident or more apparent. I talked about eugenics, which is the creation of a master race. Genocide is being committed to fertilize the soil for the master race of transhumans. The transgender ideology was used to normalize the language of corrupted biogenics. Now we have Mercury retrograde in Aries conjunct Chiron in March of this year. The collective is becoming aware of how they've been traumatized by culture, family, industry, politics, war, and other societal constructs. There are conversations about changing the way we think, communicate, and who or what we identify with. The collective is also talking about healing and taking responsibility for our own happiness. We are shifting from codependent dynamics and trauma bonds, like, for example, Black people who insist on voting for one party that has done nothing for them for 60 years. We're focusing on individual needs. What is going to benefit us? What are the tangible benefits? What are we getting out of the deal? We're not going to be exploited or used or manipulated anymore. Over the course of the next year, we're going to hear more conversations about healing the collective identity, culture, and even national ideals. Nationalism will become more prominent throughout the year. And finally, with this Chiron and Aries transit, we are asking ourselves, how do we think about the people, places, and things that are most important to us? And how do we define what is important? All right, now let's get into the yearly forecast for all the signs. So start with Aries, Sun and Ascendant. So Aries, since Chiron entered your sign in 2018, you have been on a healing journey that has forced you to face your deepest fears about feeling unimportant, worthless, and invisible. The Pluto and Capricorn transit has helped you to transform your life radically, especially in the areas of career, social status, home and family situations, and relationships. But it seems like the more accomplishments you achieve, the more you realize that you need to work on your self-esteem issues to not feel like an imposter in these new spaces of power, prominence, and success. Without the healing, you will feel like you don't deserve what you have. Despite all of your riches and your accomplishments, you will feel like people are judging you because of where you came from. During the Pluto square Chiron transit, challenging situations have forced you to fight for yourself, for your right to be, for your right to live life to the fullest, unapologetically and confidently. You are stepping into your power. You're embracing your power. But this is a painful process because someone or something will be a glaring mirror to your insecurities. First Deacon Aries have worked through this the most in the past year, but all Aries will have to face their shadows throughout this transit, especially with the eclipses in Aries and Libra, and Saturn transiting into Aries in 2026. The lunar eclipses in Aries and Libra will change the way you see yourself. You're also going to be reflecting your personality and your physical appearance. You are realizing that you need to change some aspect of yourself, either it's the way you look or the way you relate to others, the way you talk to people, because your interpersonal relationships reflect the qualities of your identity or your personality. especially qualities that are toxic, abusive, and dysfunctional. With the eclipses in Aries and Libra, there is a potential for a loss or change in status, a career, a family dynamic, or relationship. And this loss or change will make you aware of the aspects of your identity that is preventing you from living your best life and having healthy relationships. Some of you may decide to change your appearance, your personality, your career, your relationships, and you may even move to a new residence so that you can start afresh. Intense emotional and sexual relationships may lead to commitment, but if you have not done the work to fix your attitude or even, deal with your self-image issues, then these relationships will be eclipsed by the end of the year. Until the end of May 2024, Jupiter will be in your second house of finances and self-esteem. A lot of you will increase your earnings or your earning potential this year if you're creative, courageous, and you use technology like social media or some sort of digital currency. You may gamble more often or invest money in speculative assets like Bitcoin, real estate, or the stock market. When Jupiter enters your third house of communication and friends and siblings, a lot of you are going to become more sociable. You'll travel more. You may even become more friendly. There's a possibility of meeting new people who can open the door of opportunity for you when it comes to career and even relationships. There's a possibility of meeting a lover through friends even this year. Now let's get into Saturn. Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces, your 12th house of endings, illnesses, and self-undoing. Saturn loves to be in its house, but it is a difficult placement. And so a lot of you may experience depression, or you may feel cut off from the source of your inspiration. You may feel sluggish, tired, depressed, or disillusioned about your life, especially if you've gone through a job loss or the end of a relationship. Some of you are desperately looking for a spark of insight, of ingenuity, of energy to motivate you to keep going. If you have become successful during this Pluto and Capricorn transit, you're realizing that you've grown a lot over the past decade, but now your traumas won't be enough to motivate you at your new level of prosperity, success, accomplishment, and stability. Uh, Aries have been motivated by anger or fear or anxiety, even. And this has been effective to an extent. But now that you've achieved some sort of success or you have won the war per se or won a war per se, the frequency of those negative feelings will do nothing at this point but make you feel worthless or undeserving of what you've worked so hard to achieve. Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house is helping you to get rid of emotional and psychological baggage that you've used as a source of your inspiration and motivation thus far. At this point, there's no more room for that energy. Now let's get into Pluto. Pluto is moving into Aquarius for most of the year. This will be a 20-year transit in your 11th house of hopes and achievement. While Jupiter is in Gemini, it will be trining Pluto in Aquarius, which means that there's a strong likelihood that you will meet people who will help you to accomplish your personal or professional goals. If you've worked on some aspect of your physical appearance or your self-image or your personality in the previous months or years, then more doors will open to you. And you will, at some point within the next 20 years, completely change your network circle. This change will be facilitated by the success you obtained while Pluto was in your 10th house. During the Pluto and Capricorn transit, your home has been rife with drama. Not all Arians, but a lot of Arians and even Cancers, Libras, and Capricorns. Their home situation has been plagued with turmoil, drama, a lot of changes, instability, and even some danger. But now you're in a much more stable, secure place in your life. And now you can breathe a sigh of relief because a lot of those toxic relationships have been managed or completely removed from your life. Okay. So congratulations to many of you. You can breathe a sigh of relief as Pluto enters into Aquarius and it's no longer in a square aspect to your sun sign. Throughout the year until 2025, you are saying goodbye to your past identity and you are learning to release your trauma. And you're also being pushed into an entirely new social circle that will help you to elevate your game further. Now let's get into the Mercury retrogrades. You have Mercury retrograding in your first, sixth, and ninth houses. This is an indicator of new frontiers on the horizon after changes to your lifestyle, appearance, and your personality. The first retrograde will be in Aries in your first house in March. Again, you're reflecting on how your personality and your self-image are not only affecting your relationships, but your professional trajectory, your social status, right? You are developing your powers of persuasion to attract new connections. People may return to your life to remind you of how much progress you've made over the past 14 years. But you're also going to be reminded, if this is applicable, some of you may be reminded of how distasteful your behavior may have been in the past. You're making sure that how you relate to others doesn't dishonor who you truly are, okay? The second Mercury retrograde will take place in Virgo in August, your sixth house of work, health habits, and routines. You're reflecting on how your lifestyle and eating habits is affecting your personality, your self-esteem, your physical appearance, your career, and also your productivity even. If you're not happy with the way you look, you will make the necessary adjustments. This health kick may also be triggered by a health issue. So make sure that in the months preceding this retrograde, you keep up with your doctor's appointments, you eat healthy, and you exercise regularly. The effects of alcohol, food, or drug abuse will be more evident during this retrograde. Some of you may also decide to return to an old job or dust off an old project that you abandoned because you did not have the discipline, time, or the resources to see it through the first time. Third Mercury retrograde will happen in November in your ninth house of Sagittarius. So some of you guys may travel long distances to visit family or friends or the holidays. During these visits, you may realize that your knowledge or education is very limited. So you may decide to travel more or go back to school after this transit is over. Overall, this year, Arians will be focused on their relationships with other people, whether it's business partnerships or romantic relationships. They're learning how to cultivate balanced, healthier interactions that affirm their identity instead of triggering emotional issues related to erasure, impotence, exclusion, rejection, and ostracization. All right, now it's time for Taurus, Sun, and Ascendant. Let's get into some of the major transits of the year. Jupiter is currently in your Sun or Ascendant sign until May 24th, 2024. This is a very auspicious time for you. Even if you're going through challenges, these challenges will lead to more opportunities in the future. A lot of Taurians are feeling confident and optimistic about their lives in general. So many of you are going to break patterns and end cycles and also release yourself from toxic situations because you're seeing yourself differently. Now, this may have already happened for first and second decan Taurians. Uranus has been in your sun sign since 2018. But seeing yourself differently is helping you to heal yourself. The North Node and Chiron are now in your 12th house of secrets, endings, illnesses, and self-undoing, which is helping you to release psychological baggage from the past that has kept you in unfulfilling situations, in unfulfilling relationships, in jobs, or even living environments that are not safe or that are not in the best neighborhoods, okay? So this baggage that you have been carrying has manifested in some form of emotional, mental, or physical hoarding, as a lot of you have energetically bonded with your trauma and have been using it subconsciously as a source of sustenance. Some of you will change your relationship with food. Food will no longer be a lover for you that you use to deal with your emotional issues. You will see food as a source of nutrition, not as an emotional crutch. At this time, you're more inventive, creative, curious, and ingenious, and you are inspired to change your life in a big way. With Jupiter transiting from your first house to your second house, your financial opportunities will increase, especially if you worked on your personality or even your physical appearance. And this is all the more applicable if you are working in a public-facing career like acting or content creation or some sort of media public relations, so to speak, okay? Some of you Taurians may also decide to buy land, real estate, or get involved with speculation like gambling or the stock market. With Jupiter in the second house, you feel the warm embrace of self-love after years of turmoil, instability, and despair. Saturn and Neptune have been in your 11th house of friendships, groups, networks, and associations. And over the past 12 years, some of you have come to realize that a few of your friends are really haters who were jealous of you. And some of them have done things to betray you. Your loyalty to them has been one-sided. And so you've decided to make a clean break with the support of Uranus and Saturn. You are replacing fake, phony, fair weather friends with solid, responsible, mature, and even older individuals who want to help you be the best version of yourself that you can be. Neptune is still in Pisces until 2025. So if you are a third Deacon, Taurus, there's still a possibility of, you finding out that somebody who you trusted was a snake behind your back, okay? Uranus is in your sign as 2025. You have a strong desire to break free and live life on your own terms. You have a strong desire to get away from the same people, the same environment, the same conversations, and you're ready for the new, the unexplored, the different. Some of you may have filed for divorce or separation sometime last year or within the past couple years unexpectedly, or after years and years of suffering and silence in your relationship. The divorce process may get mired in negotiations and back and forth when Mercury goes retrograde in your eighth house later on this year. Taurians have the ability to shake the table this year. So do Capricorns and Virgos to a lesser extent because Uranus is trining your sun sign. You guys will be revealing information that changes the way that people think and operate in society. We saw this with Cassie last year. She's a Virgo. She revealed some information about Diddy that kind of shook up the world in a sense, right? Okay. Even with Charleston White, who's a Taurus. So, while Uranus is in Taurus, the earth signs have the ability to like really push the conversations and get attention because they're saying things that are so radical and unexpected. Now, Taurus, Pluto is moving into Aquarius this year, your 10th house of social status and reputation. You are ready to embrace this new cycle of power where you are the master of your own destiny. You have released emotional ties and physical baggage that has been holding you back from living your best life. Over the next year, you will feel a surge of strength and energy and power. You may also have the desire to move to a new location to start over a new life. If you've been living in the shadows, hiding from the world, hiding from friends and family and loved ones, you are ready to reintroduce yourself at this time in a new way. A lot of fixed signs will get into the strength training over the next 20 years to harness the powerful energy of Pluto. You need to have a strong mind and a body to survive the next 20 years because there are going to be some intense high points and low points that require you to have a flexible and adjustable attitude as well as a healthy body. Being rigid and stubborn will only make your growth and transformation more painful than it has to be. Taurians. Now let's get into Mercury. Mercury's going retrograde in the 12th, 5th, and 8th houses for you this year. Intimacy issues can be resolved once you deal with limiting attitudes and beliefs about love, freedom, and romance. Unresolved trauma is blocking you from having healthy, fulfilling, and happy relationships. Some of you have been in a depressed stupor for a very long time. So in March, Mercury will go retrograde in your 12th house, aspecting the nodes and Chiron and Aries. During this transit, you may spend more time alone to revisit and then release past energies, but you must first take accountability for your role in your own life. Do not continue to blame other people for the decisions that you've made, like staying at the same job for too long or allowing someone to abuse you and disrespect you for years. You have to be honest with yourself about how your lack of self-worth kept you stuck in situations that were miserable and unfulfilling. You may feel mentally drained and depressed at this time. You're also hypersensitive to gossipy whispers and secrets. Chiron will be entering your first house in 2026, so now is a very good time to start your healing journey so that you're not bogged down by unresolved issues that will make you feel insecure, paranoid, distrustful, greedy, and possessive. If you're overeating, your solar plexus and sacral chakra may be weak or blocked, especially if you have digestive issues. In September, Mercury will go retrograde in your 5th house of Virgo. Your love affair with food is changing. Come honest with yourself about whether or not your lifestyle is or is not a reflection of how you view yourself or your self-worth. During this period, a lover from your past may return to remind you of the importance of looking after your own needs first, but in a healthy and balanced way. If you hoard energy and resources, this retrograde will make you aware of this and help you to understand why. You may be in the mood for love or romance, but again, if you're surrounded by emotional, mental, and physical clutter, you will block new love from entering your life. In November, Mercury will go retrograde in your 8th house of divorce, debts, and mortality. Taurians may decide to do some financial, especially after you have recently ended a long-term relationship. The divorce proceedings may hit a little snag if you and your partner cannot agree about financial settlements and assets. For some Taurians, your fears about losing security will be triggered, and some of you may decide to reconcile with a toxic ex to quell your abandonment issues. Make sure you comb over any legal documents very carefully. Some Taurians will also be interested in covering secrets or occult knowledge. Overall, Tauruses will be reevaluating their attitudes about marriage and relationships, or you're coming to terms with how injuries to your soul have influenced the way you engage with your partners in the past. I think second to Capricorn and even Cancer, Taurians hold on to past traumas very hard. Taurians hoard energy, not all Taurians. Some Taurians don't have this issue, but Tauruses with emotional challenges tend to hoard energy, people, food, resources, information. They're very possessive and they don't want to share because they're afraid of losing control. All right, the next sign I'm going to discuss is Gemini. Gemini, Chiron has been in your 11th house of friendships, groups, networks, and associations since 2018. Some of you have decided to become a counselor, a healer, a therapist, or enter the healthcare profession in some way. You are surrounding yourself with people who want what's best for you. You're also learning how to identify your triggers so that they don't damage your interpersonal relationships. You refuse to associate with people who do not honor who you are. So you are releasing friends and associates and even lovers who are proving themselves to be dysfunctional or toxic. The nodal axes are on your 11th and 5th houses for this year. And during or within 6 months of the eclipses, you may have to end some relationships with these people who are in your network circle. I don't know what the reasons are, but you may make a decision to walk away from people who are no longer in alignment with your life purpose, especially if you find out they're messy, deceptive, or just not compatible with you. Your friends may seek your guidance and support because you're very intelligent and you're also very educated as well. Intelligence and education, and you're wise, right? Now, some of you who've gone through divorces or endings may be looking to your friends and associates for support as well, okay? So overall, you are learning how to associate with people who validate your sense of self in a positive way. Your tolerance for toxic relationships and situations is at a minimum. You have no patience for people or situations that are low vibrational because you don't want your traumas to be triggered, okay? Jupiter is in your 12th house of endings, secrets, and hidden enemies. You are being protected by the universe. Secret haters will be exposed, and you will have the confidence to walk away from situations that are not serving you. In spite of all the difficulties you've experienced, you have faith that things will get better. And they will, because Jupiter will be entering your sun sign or your ascendant sign of Gemini this year in May. But Jupiter will also be squared by Saturn in Pisces, which means that whatever opportunities you receive this year will require a sacrifice and a responsible, disciplined, and mature attitude. You will also have to work for what you want. Nothing will be handed to you easily, but you're very good at what you do. You're very intelligent, so you'll be able to go with the flow relatively easily. You will most likely have the support of friends and family who are helping you from behind the scenes. So you have some guardian angels looking over you to protect you from deception and dysfunction. With Jupiter transiting into your first house, you're becoming the source of your own luck. So it's time to put your best foot forward and demonstrate how responsible, smart, and skilled you are. And more than likely, you'll get the opportunities that you deserve. Now, Saturn square Jupiter does not give you opportunity that you have not earned or that you're not prepared for. So yeah, if you work really hard or if you've been working really hard, you are going to attract more opportunities this year, okay? Uranus is also in your 12th house of endings, secrets, and hidden enemies. Some of you are making a clean break from the past. You are changing your perspective on old situations and circumstances that have held you back. You are clearing the dead weeds in your subconscious in preparation for the Uranus and Gemini transit, which begins in 2025. Many of you are feeling restless and anxious and have a difficult time getting enough sleep. Your mind is constantly active. That's okay. Just make sure you give yourself enough time before you have to go to bed to wind down. Neptune is with Saturn in your 10th house of career and social status until 2025, 2026. At some point this year, you may become disillusioned with your current career trajectory, which may compel you to work harder to achieve your goals. You may have to work more to earn the same amount of money you made a few years ago. There's also a sense of restriction, especially if you work long hours or you have multiple jobs. You are trying to figure out new ways of managing your time more efficiently to accomplish your goals. Some of you are taking your career more seriously, or you're interested in the more practical aspects of your career and also the long term sustainability of your career. You want to change or elevate your status and reputation. So, some of you may decide to go back to school, get a certification, or drastically change your public image. If you are in a long term relationship, you may realize that your partner is not in it for the same reasons you are, or that your feelings aren't mutual. There is an unequal distribution of power that must be corrected for this relationship to flourish. Within the next few years, Pluto and Uranus will be aspecting your sun, so you have the ability to make a lot of progress in every area of your life. You will feel so powerful and liberated that you're not afraid to leave dead in relationships or situations or start a new career path. Some of you may be initiated into a secret society or a powerful network of individuals who can help you to actualize your plans. You are changing yourself so that you can attract people, the people who will help you to evolve and manifest your dreams. You have Mercury in retrograde in the 11th, 4th, and 7th houses this year. Happy marriages are based on friendship, family, and respect. For many Geminians, there's a possibility of meeting your future spouse among a group of friends, on social media, or after you move into a new location. This year's retrograde cycle is helping you to establish a new foundation for your life. The first retrograde is in Aries in your 11th house of friends, groups, and associations, and what we hope or wish for. Many of you may decide to reconcile with old friends or even lovers because the 11th is opposite the 5th house of romantic partners, or you are reflecting on whether or not your friends are here to help you or to hold you back. Do you need to clean the house in this area of your life? An old friend may reach out to you for support, or you may be reminiscing about someone who you used to be close with in the past. Your social network is a valuable resource at this time. Your second retrograde will be in your sister sign of Virgo this August. Some of you may feel homesick, or you will reminisce about family and friends that you grew up with. Home matters become more important for you at this time. You may be interested in moving to a new home, or you may have to have some repairs done on your home, especially if you live in a torrential climate has hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes. You'll be interested in restructuring your life due to recent losses, changes, and limitations. Some of you are also thinking about how to spend more time with your family and loved ones. A lot of you have been grinding it out and haven't devoted much time to family and friends. If you're living in a foreign country or far away from your parents, you may decide to visit home to say hi to everybody. This experience will help you professionally, as you may decide to use your knowledge and resources to help the members of your community, especially if you work in human services. Mercury will go retrograde in your 7th house of marriage and business partnerships in November of this year. You are reflecting on past relationships and considering reconciliation with an ex, especially if the relationship did not end on bad terms. A former lover may reach out to you as well. You may be renegotiating contracts, business contracts, to make them more fair for all parties involved. This is an auspicious year for relationships in general, and many of you will be able to attract the lover that you want. But be careful, Neptune is still squaring your sun sign, so your perception is being affected. You may be looking at people and situations with rose-tinted glasses. Remember, there was a reason that you guys broke up in the first place. But if it was your fault, you have the opportunity to rectify the situation and to make amends during the last retrograde of the year. This is holiday season, so it's the perfect time to reminisce and make up with loved ones. Overall, this year, you are focused on security, family, children, tradition, and social status. Now on to Cancer. Hey, Cancer. Since 2018, Chiron has been in your 10th house of career and social status. Over the past several years, some Cancerians have experienced embarrassing personal situations involving their family that has forced them to come to terms with their self-esteem issues. If Cancers have been erasing themselves for a partner or for their family, they will become aware of, I'm speaking in the first person and third person, you guys will become aware of how you have neglected your own needs for your family or your partner, and you will feel more and more underappreciated, and like your social status has taken a negative hit due to the actions of the people in your family. With Chiron in the 10th house, in many cases, this is an aspect of public humiliation and embarrassment that affects the social status. With the North Node eclipse in the 10th house, some early Deacon Cancerians may fall out of favor with the public due to a scandal, or there is a significant decline in their power or influence. The United States in general will experience this as well. You may also experience a drastic change in your career or social reputation that makes you feel ungrounded, vulnerable, and emotionally unstable. Fortunately, you have Jupiter in the 11th house, and this is the house of networks and friends and associations. So you have the support of a larger community, especially if you have a large social media platform. Your friends will be able to give you emotional support and good company this year. Jupiter will be entering your 12th house in May, and like I told Gemini, you feel like God has your back with Jupiter in the 12th house, that everything is going to be okay no matter what happens. And this will give you the faith and the courage that you need to continue pushing forward, no matter how challenging the circumstance that you're dealing with. You are closing out a long taxing cycle with Pluto and Capricorn opposing your sun sign. A lot of you have gone through painful divorces, betrayal in relationships, just a lot of tumultuousness and drama in your personal lives, and it's affected your sense of security and stability, and even your sense of self-worth. So you're closing out this cycle. But Pluto will be moving into your 8th house of transformation for most of the year. So you will go through more intense experiences that will challenge your mental strength and fortitude. But you are a cardinal water sign. You're very resilient and adaptable. So you will pass these tests with flying colors. A lot of Cancerians will mature emotionally this year, meaning you're going to appreciate your chronological age and not the age you feel like or the age you want to be. Cancerians are becoming prouder of their age because they've survived a lot. That's a good thing. Saturn and Neptune will be in your 9th house of long distance travel, legal matters, foreign affairs, philosophy, and higher education. Some Cancerians may decide to go back to school to become more knowledgeable in an entirely new field of study. There could be delays when it comes to travel, especially when Mercury goes retrograde in your 3rd house in August. So we have Mercury in retrograde in the 3rd house, opposing Saturn in the 9th house. That is travel woes. Some of you may have become disillusioned with the education system as a whole overall, especially if it's hard for you to find a job or you've lost your job due to automation or outsourcing. Some natives may even consider moving abroad for work or returning home from working abroad. While Pluto is in the 8th house, you will have to find a new source of security based on a new value system. For example, if you've spent years being a stay-at-home mom and you try to re-enter the workforce while Pluto is in the 8th house, you may come to realize that you have to learn new skills. Or if you're in the entertainment industry, you may come to realize that you are too old for certain roles, or everything in the industry has changed. The power of influence has been decentralized. So now you must be the master of your own destiny. Now on to Uranus. Uranus is also in your 11th house of groups, associations, and wishes. Over the past several years, since 2018, you have experienced drastic changes in this area as well. You may have closed out friendships with people who pretty much outgrown. And with Uranus and Jupiter in the same house, in the 11th house, your social network of friends has expanded. I'm not saying that you don't miss your old friends, but don't fit into your life anymore. The season for this relationship or for these friendships is over. A lot of Cancerians have definitely cut off long-standing relationships that have become toxic or dysfunctional. Mercury will go retrograde in your 10th, 3rd, and 6th houses this year. So you'll be able to change your lifestyle once you start a new career or end a career. And this may require you to learn more knowledge and skills. Your attitude about work is changing overall because your identity is changing, or it has changed because of important life events like divorces, moving away from home, getting married, and so on. So if you guys have been suffering from chronic health issues, there is a strong possibility that you'll recover either partially or fully once you heal a family situation. There seems to be connection with physical health and family health dynamics this year. If there's a lot of fighting and toxicity in the home, that is definitely going to affect your mental and physical health. So please make sure that your home is your temple. It is a place where you can rest, relax, and enjoy some much needed quiet time, okay? So for you Cancerians, the first Mercury retrograde will take place for you in your 10th house in March, the 10th house of career, social status, and achievements. You are taking stock of your career and whether or not your job will be secure in the future. Some Cancerians may also realize that they do not have a home-work-life balance because living expenses may be too high. So it seems like you're working harder than before, but your money isn't stretching as far as it used to, as is the case with most people. This is an international issue. For those of you who frequently travel for work, you may decide to finally work from home or start a new job that requires a lot less travel. And again, some of you may want to travel less because of family dynamics. You guys could be having a child or growing a family or getting married, or you have young school age children who miss you. There's something going on with the family dynamic that is affecting your career choices and whether or not you want to travel a lot for work. For many cancers, not all, but many of them, okay? In August, Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo in your third house of communication, short distance travel, knowledge, and skills, and it goes stationary in your second house of values and finances. You will be a lot more reflective, introspective, and private at this time. Be aware of the tendency to be self critical and lamenting about the past and things you cannot change. Some of you are also assessing how you can use your knowledge and skills to increase your earning potential. The Mercury retrograde is opposing Saturn and Neptune, so illusions, deceptions, and misconceptions may be rectified. You may also travel to a place where you used to live to reconnect with people from your past, but there's a possibility of having, slight accidents or mishaps or delays while you're traveling. Make sure your traveling paperwork is in order months ahead of time, and make sure that you schedule important meetings correctly, as miscommunication is highly likely at this time. In November, Mercury goes retrograde in Sagittarius in your sixth house of work, health, habits, and routines. If you suffer from any form of addiction or imbalanced eating or lifestyle, you may have to deal with the consequences of that lifestyle at this time. You are paying more attention to what you're putting in your body, and you are making sure that your lifestyle is conducive to overall health and wellness. Mentioned earlier, some of you are considering changing your work schedule or even your career path in general, especially if you are the caretaker of an elderly or sick individual, or you need to spend more time with children, young children, or just, with your spouse. If you're getting married this year, for example, you may decide to work at a job that allows you to stay home more with your spouse. Overall, this year, this retrograde will help you to embrace your independence for the first time in many years, even though you are taking other people into consideration when you're making important decisions. All right, now on to Leo. Leos, many of you are going through a lot when it comes to your career. You have both Jupiter and Uranus in your 10th house. You could experience sudden gains and losses in the career sector, which will ultimately lead to more opportunities in the long run if you are flexible. Uranus in the 10th can indicate a sudden rise to power, prominence, and fame, followed by an unexpected event that changes your reputation or career trajectory seemingly overnight. All right, let me start with the eclipses first. You have eclipses happening in your ninth and third houses of education, foreign entanglements, and short distance travel. Some of you may decide to retire from academia, but there's a radical shift in your perspective about religious, academic, or even cultural institutions. I do see a connection with the ninth and 10th houses, as there are planets in these houses that can cause sudden changes in these areas. You may come to doubt your intellect or your knowledge in the field of study, which will motivate you to work harder to meet the standards of your profession. Saturn and Neptune is in your 8th house of taxes, debts, secrets, betrayal, and transformation. A lot of Leonians will have to pay their debts this year, whether it's financial, emotional, or spiritual. On the other hand, many of you may be financially compensated for any injustices that you have experienced over the past several years. So secrets or things that you've forgotten about even may come to light, and these situations may affect your finances and your sense of security, which ties into the career changes that I talked about when I discussed Uranus in your 10th house. An uncomfortable circumstance or situation will force you to take an honest look at your financial limitations, especially if you've been splurging, taking on excessive debts, or being irresponsible with your finances in general. But do not worry, this is a temporary transit that will help you to clean up old mess that is preventing you from making long-term responsible financial investments. In extreme cases, some of you guys may go through a divorce within the next year. Some Leos may go through a very expensive divorce by the end of 2025, okay? If you're married or in a committed relationship, please do not behave unscrupulously, because there's a very strong possibility that your partner will find out about your indiscretions within the next year, which will trigger this Uranus square to your angular houses. Leos have endured a lot over the past few years with the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, Saturn and Aquarius in 2021, Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. It's been a lot of stuff going on with you guys. So all of these changes are preparing you for the Pluto and Aquarius transit, which will be in your seventh house of open enemies, marriage, and business partners. If you are married to somebody who you do not like, who you do not trust, who has betrayed you in the past, who has abused you, or who is abusing you currently, please get out of this relationship before Pluto and Aquarius matures, because it's only going to get worse. You're going to be forced to leave this relationship behind. Don't wait until you lose so much that you can't recover. Walk away from this toxic situation, okay? All Leos and all fixed signs in general will go through radically transforming experiences over the next 20 years. And some of these experiences will be exciting and fun, while others will be challenging. I suggest you start a strength training regimen to fortify your core strength. You're going to need it to maintain your energy, your motivation, and your confidence over the next 20 years. Late Deacon Leonians may still experience sudden changes in career, relationships, homes, and even their sense of self before 2025. Nothing will look the way that it did 8 years ago. Everything will look so different by the time this transit is over. But again, these changes are preparing you for the Pluto and Aquarius transit. So your relationship with other people has to change in order for you to have a healthier relationship with yourself. And this is why so many Leonians have experienced ego deaths after losing status, career, relationships, and even losing face, being embarrassed or humiliated. For you, humility will go very, very far at this time, because you're learning to accept yourself even if you aren't the best or at your best. And even if you aren't perfect, you know you deserve to be loved, and people will return that energy to you. If you're egotistical and you are arrogant, cocky, not humble, this Pluto and Aquarius transit will kick you in your hiney. If you refuse to change your attitude or your behavior, there's a possibility of you becoming very disoriented and destabilized by the Pluto and Aquarius transit. Now, with Uranus and Taurus, some of you are also itching to move to a new home or new location. You feel trapped or locked into an old environment, or even the same old relationship dynamics. You want brand new everything. Now, you guys have Jupiter going from the 10th to the 11th house for you. Opportunities will come from your friends and network circle. So you may know somebody who can put in a referral for you for another job, for a new gig, or a new opportunity, or whatever. Okay. So for the Uranus and Jupiter in the 10th house transit, the theme is grand opening, grand closing, grand opening. So when one door shuts behind you, don't be too bitter or egotistical to walk through another one, even if it looks different from what you expected. Do not look down on your come up. Don't look down on your come up, okay? Mercury retrograde in the 9th, 2nd, and 5th houses. True love and happiness will come your way once you change your attitudes and beliefs about yourself and your intrinsic value. In March, Mercury will go retrograde in the sign of Aries, your 9th house of higher education, long distance travel, and you are reflecting about everything you've been taught in your life from your education, your travels, and how these experiences have shaped your worldview. Some of you are learning how to love yourself not based on how smart you are or how successful you are or what you know, but because you exist as a human being. You will not be able to hide behind the illusion of success and perfection to compensate for low self-esteem issues. When the mask of accomplishment and adoration is torn off, will you still love yourself even if people can see your flaws? Some of you may return to school to finish your studies or to change your major altogether. If you're writing a book, traveling will help you to get your creative juices flowing. Your writing or any sort of creative expression that you're doing will benefit by being exposed to the sunlight, okay? You have Mercury retrograde in Virgo in your second house of finances, and it will traverse backwards into your sun sign. Due to recent upheavals in your life, you are looking for a new sense of security, but you may come to realize that you need to release an aspect of your identity that is keeping you tethered to a false sense of self that is preventing you from living authentically. By valuing yourself, you learn to appreciate the value of others. You're also thinking about how you have used your ego and the things that you have even, or your accomplishments, to elevate yourself above other people. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you are learning that money is not inherently evil, and your relationship with money reflects your relationship with yourself. So if you're always having financial issues, you're realizing that this is because of a self-esteem problem or poor self-image and not because of fate. So some Leos may not have enough confidence, right? There's a stereotype of Leos being egotistical and arrogant and proud and bold. But on the other side of the coin, there are a lot of Leos who do not know how to step into their power, who don't have confidence, who are invisible, who want to hide behind other people. And so, yeah, both attitudes or perspectives are not balanced. If you think too highly of yourself or if you think too lowly of yourself, you are still erasing yourself. And that's what I talked about earlier with the Chiron and Aries transit that is affecting everybody. Some of you guys are inflating your ego to hide your insecurities about your sense of worthlessness, or you are hiding yourself and preventing yourself from being successful because you don't want people to see you because of poor self image and self esteem issues. Okay. These attitudes need to be rectified. Okay. Now, if you're on the low self esteem side of the game, this is a good time with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo to treat yourself better, to pamper yourself, to be gentler to yourself. So during this Mercury Virgo retrograde, some of you are realizing that all money is not good money. So a lot of you may be trying to figure out if you can afford to leave your current job or career so that you can work for yourself or work in a profession where you're being honored and respected for your contribution. In November, Mercury will go retrograde in Sagittarius, your fifth house of romance, children, and creative expression. Some of you may be thinking about how you have raised your children. You're reflecting on what you would have done differently if you had more time and more resources. You're also reflecting on how your child experiences have affected your romantic relationship dynamics. Or some of you guys are also thinking about how you may have dismissed or invalidated the needs of your own children because of a relationship partner. That's a possibility for some of you guys, very little. Now, during this time period, there are Leonians who are making a final decision about whether or not they want children. I mean, the end of the year is like holiday festivities time. So, thinking about children, interaction with children, being with children, seeing your children, that's going to be at the forefront of your imagination and your mind at this time. Okay. There's also a possibility during this Mercury and Sagittarius transit of lovers from the past returning to your life to reconcile, but with the Saturn and Neptune square aspect to Mercury, attempts to reconcile will be thwarted or short lived because of deception. Make sure that people are not getting in contact with you at the end of the year, like November, so you can buy them a Christmas present in December. Don't fall for the games, please. Mercury retrograde in the fifth house could also have you thinking about how you can get away from the kids to find more time for yourself, especially if you're a stay at home mother whose entire life revolves around your children. And finally, some Leonians may reminisce about how much fun life used to be. Things have been such a grind for you for the past several years that you're feeling energetically depleted. And this again brings me back to you guys going to the gym to strengthen your body and your solar plexus so you have more energy. Overall, in 2024, many Leos will be thinking about how to manage their marriages and their business or professional relationships, especially after dealing with disappointment and disillusionment. Some of you may walk away from a person or a profession that you love because the toxicity is dragging you down. Okay, now it is time to discuss Virgo. Virgo. So, the nodes in Chiron and Aries will transit through your 8th and 2nd houses of divorce, debts, secrets, and resources. During this period, some Virgoans may experience drastic changes to your financial situation, and some of you may also come to realize that money can't buy love or happiness, and you are retreating from a relationship or situation that is draining your energy so that you can nurture yourself. You are cutting off energy vampires who do not appreciate anything that they're taking from you. They just want to continue feeling like you have to earn their love, their trust, and their respect. There's also a possibility of reaching a legal settlement at this time. You may have to pay, or someone else is paying you for some sort of injury or accident. This could be due to a divorce, a lawsuit, child support, etc. Some of you may also receive an insurance payout or inherit an estate or receive a life insurance payout, especially if the eclipses are aspecting personal planets like the Sun, Moon, and Mercury. If you have been in a transactional relationship where money is being exchanged for power or sex, this relationship will more than likely come to an end during this year because you are learning how to validate yourself not by what you have or by what you have to offer, but your intrinsic value as a human being and a child of God. This is the lesson for the collective for the Chiron and Aries transit: self-love, self-acceptance, self-appreciation, identity, and so on. So some of you are letting go of anger, possessiveness, and controlling behavior, and you're learning to detach with love and appreciation. Jupiter will be in your ninth house of long distance travel and higher education through May 2024. Some of you are looking to travel or relocate abroad to expand your horizons. You may even decide to go back to college or get a trade certification to increase your professional opportunities. In May, Jupiter will move to your 10th house of fame, social status, and career. With the Saturn and Neptune aspect, you are working hard to make your mark in the world, no longer distracted by nonsense, illusions, and misconceptions, or even deceit. You are ready to take your life more seriously and take practical steps to secure your future. You are more conscious or aware of how you appear to others, so you are being more conscientious about the way you present yourself. You will experience more career growth and opportunities this year, especially if you work in media, communications, or entertainment. But with the Neptune aspect, please be sure to do your due diligence and comb over contracts carefully. Be aware of what you're getting into. The Saturn Neptune transit will give you a realistic or practical approach to your relationships as well. You want tangible progress, not false promises and future faking. Some of you will finally see your partner for who they are, and this is for better or worse. Many Virgos will feel emotionally detached from their relationships or their business partners, especially if one or both of you travel a lot for work or there has been some emotional conflicts throughout your relationship. Virgos, if you're currently in a lopsided, wonky, half-assed situationship for years, something may happen within the next year and a half that finally turns on a light bulb in your head, and you're going to realize that this person is not the right one for you. You may finally discover or realize that your partner has been betraying you or has secret plans that do not align with what they have been telling you. Someone has been giving you false promises. And this is not for all Virgos. This is for Virgos who know that their partner has been lying to them, who have caught their partner lying to them, and whose partner has refused to commit to them for an extended period of time. For example, if a Virgo is dating someone who is married and they have been promising to divorce their husband or their wife for years and they're refusing to do this, the Virgo might finally wake up and say, "Oh, you have no intention of divorcing your spouse. Let me peace out." You may also discover that you have been manipulated or deceived by a lover, or on the other hand, you may be exposed for doing the same thing. If the stars align, some Virgoans may actually end up getting married or breaking up for good. There is no middle ground with the Saturn Neptune conjunction, especially if your relationship has been unrewarding or unfulfilling for a protracted period of time. Virgos who suffer from addictions or escapist tendencies may decide to sober up, which helps them to see themselves with greater clarity. And as a result, you see your partner or your relationship more clearly as well. Uranus has also been transiting through your ninth house of higher education, foreign entanglements or of foreign engagements, long distance travel, the law, etc. And some of you may have suddenly changed your major if you're in college or left school altogether. On the other hand, a lot of you may have moved across the country or even to a different country for work or just to get away from the madness that is happening in the United States, okay, or in the country that you're living in. Jupiter is currently transiting through your ninth house as well. And so some of you guys may decide to go back to school, but maybe you're changing your major, or maybe again, you're changing your degree or getting a certification because the objective is to increase your opportunities. So you understand that in order for you to have more opportunities, you need more education, you need more skills, you need more exposure, and you need to travel more. And so with Uranus in the ninth house, there is a possibility of encountering unusual situations and circumstances while traveling, like earthquakes, storms, or political unrest in the country that you're visiting. For example, if you decide to visit Gaza back in September 2023, and you want to stay there for 3 or 4 months to hang out with family or just to, enjoy a different experience. And then all of a sudden this war breaks out a month later. That is a Uranus in the ninth house possibility. Okay. So some Virgoans may be very desperate to get away from it all. They want to travel far away from what is familiar to them. They want to leave their old life behind, and they may decide to do this on a whim. But again, it is best to look at the long-term socioeconomic and political situations in the country that you're visiting or you're moving to. With Uranus moving into an angular aspect in your chart in a few years, you may have to move again unexpectedly. After traveling, you will gain a whole new perspective on your career and your life in general. Pluto is moving from your fifth house to your sixth house after 14 years. Pluto transforms whatever house it is in, and some transformations are more pleasant than others. While Pluto is transiting through Aquarius, Virgoans will get a better handle on their health, especially after medical crisis, and some Virgos may have already experienced health issues when Pluto was transiting through Aquarius for a very short time last year. So if you dealt with an issue while Pluto was in Aquarius last year, and now Pluto retrograded back into Capricorn, and then it's going to go into Aquarius later on this month, I would make sure you follow up with your doctor to make sure that whatever you were dealing with has not come back or it's not on its way back. For example, if some of you guys were diagnosed with pre-diabetes or you were had some sort of autoimmune disorder you got under control while Pluto was in Capricorn, there's a possibility that with Pluto going to Aquarius, you may go through things that flare up your condition again. So stay on top of your doctor's appointments. The good news is if you have a chronic health issue, the Pluto in Aquarius transit will help you to make radical changes to your diet and your lifestyle. Virgos are very sensitive to dirt, germs, diseases, and toxins, so please make sure you eat a clean and healthy diet with little to no sugar. And some of you may unfortunately develop issues with your pancreas or some other digestive issue over the next 20 years. So again, be careful with the sweets and the salts and the fats. Do not wait until there's a medical emergency to see a doctor. Be proactive and take preventative measures now. I'm not saying that all Virgos are going to get sick. I didn't say that. I'm saying that if you do have chronic illnesses, the transit of Pluto in the sixth house will increase the likelihood of you having some sort of flare up or relapse is very likely. I'm not trying to make you guys worry about anything. You're supposed to be objective and rational about this. Do not allow your emotions to cloud your judgment. Don't let your fear stop you from being proactive about taking care of your health, okay? Now, I have Pluto in the sixth house for years and I'm doing okay. I've had some health issues that have flared out, but I'm managing them. It is what it is. So you guys are going to be fine if you are proactive and you are changing your lifestyle and your diet to help your body heal from whatever illnesses that may manifest at this time, okay? Pluto in the sixth house will also affect your daily work habits, and some of you may decide to change professions several times over the next 20 years. At some point, you'll find your footing, but not before you make necessary lifestyle adjustments, okay? So now for the year 2024, the Mercury retrogrades will be in the eighth, first, and the fourth houses. So the Mercury retrogrades are helping you to feel secure within yourself by giving you the courage to face the shame and the trauma that has shaped your identity and also affected your self-esteem. Some Virgos have been feeling less grounded within themselves for several years, and you don't know whether you're coming or going sometimes. The world seems to be a confusing place, and it's hard for you to trust people because you don't trust yourself. Your boundaries have been weakened by abuse, betrayal, neglect, or dysfunction during your childhood, or even some part of your adulthood, especially if you were in a toxic relationship. You're learning new ways of finding security that are not based on wishful thinking, misplaced trust, unrequited love, or a false sense of hope. Instead, you are facing your deepest fears about abandonment, erasure, and worthlessness so that you can plant the seeds of self-love and acceptance. You have learned how to stand up for yourself, even if it means losing the people that you care about. Now, the first Mercury retrograde will be in the sign of Aries, which is your eighth house of debts, secrets, betrayals, and other people's resources. Some of you are getting your financial affairs in order, and some of you may start to reflect on how you've been betrayed in your past relationships, and you may try to take action to rectify the situation legally, or you're learning to heal from those past relationships to move on with your life. You are realizing that the abuse that you've experienced in the past is a result of low self-esteem caused by earlier unresolved trauma. If some of you have suffered from health issues in the past, you may also be planning your estate, insurance, and wills and preparing to transfer resources to loved ones or your next of kin. If you're going through a divorce, the proceedings may hit a snag or be recessed for a short period of time. You may also receive a tax bill or an audit letter at this time. The second retrograde of the year will be in Virgo, which is your sun sign or your ascendant sign. And some of you will take a look in a mirror and be honest about how some of the decisions that you have made have led you into the situation that you are in currently. It is easy to play the blame game or to take on the role of being a victim. We cannot control how other people treat us, but we can control ourselves. And we have to take responsibility for allowing ourselves to stay in abusive, deceptive, or unfulfilling relationships. You are learning how to accept your mistakes and the role you've played in your own life. Some of you may reach out to an ex for closure, or you may hear from an ex who wants to make peace with you. During this transit, you become more focused on your own needs, as well as your personality expression and even your physical appearance, especially if you're getting older or if you've gained weight. You may want to give yourself a makeover. Try not to be too critical about your appearance. We're all aging, we all gain weight, we all lose our hair, we all go gray. It is a natural part of life. Give yourself grace. You're still beautiful, right? Virgos are naturally gorgeous. And spend time with people who love you for who you are. During this transit, you will also become more aware of how you treat others and how your behavior towards others affects your relationship with them. So instead of pointing a finger at you've done this, you've done that, you're going to say, well, I need to take responsibility for how I allowed you to treat me in this relationship. And then that will give you more power to move on into another connection if need be. The third retrograde of the year will be in November in the sign of Sagittarius. And, this is your fourth house. Some of you may decide to go back home to visit family members or loved ones, especially since it is holiday season. You may also have to return home to take care of an elder, a relative, or to finalize paperwork for an estate. Some of you may also receive a job opportunity that requires you to move to a new residence, which may be in a city, a state, or country you used to live in. Overall, for 2024, home and family matters are more important to you at this time. Some of you may relocate to a new country or state, and more than likely, this is because of the Uranus and ninth house transit. You are really contemplating about moving to a whole new different part of the world or part of the country. All right, now on to the sign of Libra. Hey, Libra, the eclipses are in your sign and your opposite sign. I think it's safe to say that many Librans will go through significant relationship changes over the next year and a half. You are learning how to love yourself so that you can have healthier, happier, and more balanced relationships. Some of you refuse to continue being in low vibrational, imbalanced situations where you're giving more than you're receiving. You want to be treated fairly in your partnerships. So you have a low tolerance for dysfunction and disrespect. A raggedy relationship or marriage that's been hanging on by a thread may finally get cut this year, especially if you meet someone new who makes you feel attractive, appreciated, loved, and valued. Like the other cardinal signs, the Pluto and Capricorn transit has destabilized the lives of many Librans. Your homes have been a theater of conflict, turmoil, betrayal, and even violence in some cases. You are ready to break free and be happy for the first time in a long time. Jupiter will transit from your 8th house to your 9th house this year. You may inherit resources, win the lottery, win a lawsuit, or gain some sort of financial benefit from 8th house matters, which is divorces, insurance, estate sales, wills, etc. Jupiter in the 8th is kind of like a monkey's paw. You may receive a financial windfall, but only after losing something valuable or going through something very tragic, okay? When Jupiter moves into your 9th house, you may feel like traveling to a foreign country or just getting away from everything that's familiar to you, especially after you have finalized a divorce. Opportunities will come during foreign travel, through legal action, or while pursuing higher education. Saturn and Neptune in your 6th house of health, work habits, and routines will help you to get a handle on any addictive issues, hopefully before your health is permanently compromised. A lot of Librans suffer from addictions because they have Pisces in the 6th house, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, which represents excesses and escapist tendencies. So you are taking your work and your health more seriously at this time, and you're also working more efficiently towards your goal. There may be some disillusionment or disappointment or unhappiness when it comes to your career, and you may decide to go on a different path altogether, especially if there's no work, life, health, or family balance. You may feel like you're sacrificing too much for a job that's not giving you benefits, that's not giving you security, that's not giving you respect, etc., etc. Your relationships may also be fueling your addictive escapist tendencies. Like if your home environment is, really toxic and dysfunctional, you'll spend extra time hanging out with your coworkers, drinking at happy hour, or you may decide to start an extramarital affair to avoid dealing with your partner, or you may decide to pick up extra hours at work to avoid going home. You have to learn how to maintain the people, situations, and circumstances that are keeping you in a state of imbalance, or else the eclipses will force you to let these things go before you're ready to let them go. Uranus is still transiting through your 8th house of other people's resources, secrets, divorces, and betrayal. Over the past few years, you may have found out some shocking news about somebody you trusted. This could be something criminal, financial, emotional, sexual, etc. These revelations may have resulted in a divorce or separation from your partner, which has had a negative impact on your emotional and financial security. Some of you may be involved in sexually deviant behavior. I'm not saying all Librans. I'm saying a small percentage of you guys with Uranus in the 8th house. You may be involved in sexually deviant behavior that you're keeping a secret from other people that may affect your health negatively at some point. Please be responsible. Okay? You're looking to break free from the claws of a situation that has depleted you energetically, especially if you're dealing with an energy vampire as a business partner, at your job, or in your relationship. You're looking for new sources of excitement that can be dangerous or taboo. Do not be a daredevil at this time. Of money from taxes, settlements, real estate, insurance, the lottery, and other unearned income. Pluto will be moving from your 4th house to your 5th house this year. You are feeling more powerful, optimistic, sexy, resilient, and hopeful. You no longer feel like you're at the mercy of other people's whims, and you have the freedom to move and to pursue romance, love, happiness, and pleasure, judgment, loss, or other negative consequences. You will also feel more confident in yourself as you've successfully survived the trials and tribulations of the past 14 years. You are now more stable, more secure within yourself, and thus more attractive to the opposite sex. You are not navigating through life compulsively or impulsively or instinctually or out of fear. You have learned how to control your desires and your emotions in constructive ways that are sustainable and balanced. Over the next 20 years, you will encounter intense relationships that transform your attitude about love and friendship, and you may even fall in love with a friend during this time period over the next 20 years, okay, Libras? Now let's get into Mercury retrograde in the 7th, 12th, and 3rd houses. Your relationships and unresolved issues are preventing you from communicating authentically and effectively. You are learning to love yourself enough to be with people who honor and respect you. Examine past relationships honestly so that you can understand yourself better. Give yourself grace and appreciate the progress that you've made in your life thus far. To do this, you are going to have to spend time alone, but ultimately, your new relationship with yourself will attract different types of partners who can appreciate you for who you are and what you have to offer. You are learning how to be interdependent instead of codependent in relationships. You are learning that you are not defined by marriage or by who you're with. You're defined by your own values, by your own self-worth, and by the way you treat yourself. The first retrograde will be in Aries in your 7th house of marriage, business partnerships, and open enemies. During this time period, you may reminisce about past lovers, spouses, relationships, partnerships, and you may decide to reach out to someone who you haven't spoken to for a long time for closure or reconciliation. During your separation, you may have learned how to love yourself, so you see the old connection from a different perspective. There is going to be a lot of energy in your 7th house at this time, so relationship matters become more important to you. If you suffer from self-esteem issues, you will see how your relationships were a reflection of those issues. You are ready to heal yourself and to heal others by being true to yourself, by taking responsibility for your actions and extending positive energy to others. You will also be the recipient of this. Someone who mistreated you in the past may have realized that they did not appreciate you, so they may want to reconcile with you at this time. Okay. The second retrograde will be in Virgo, which is your 12th house of the unconscious, hidden enemies, and also self-undoing. You may have dreams about past experiences that help you to heal from unresolved trauma. You will spend more time alone, resting and healing and reading and reflecting and analyzing your dreams and memories, especially if they are haunting or traumatic. You may feel depressed, tired, or weak during this period, but the exhaustion is more mental than physical. Some of you may be regretting past mistakes that you've made. You're also being overly critical about things you cannot change. Release the hurt and the regrets and embrace the now. Make a promise to yourself to have a better future than your past. Now we're going to get into the third retrograde of Mercury in Sagittarius, which is the third house, and this is going to take place in November. The third house is the house of communication, short distance travel, siblings, language, speaking, etc. You may decide to visit family and friends for the holidays, and there may be transportation delays or communication mishaps that make the journey longer than necessary. You are talking to friends, family, and loved ones about how your past experiences have influenced the way you see the world, and the conversation may get heated if you feel like you're being dismissed. Some of you are trying to put together the broken pieces of your mind, especially if you've spent years living in a fog of delusion, escapism, addictions, and denial. You may also try to find out if someone has lied to you in the past. Overall, Librans will be focused on security, a new home, new foundations, and healthier family dynamics. You want to be respected as the matriarch or the patriarch of your family because the respect of your family makes you feel more respected and appreciated by society in general. The next sign I'm going to get into is Scorpio. Scorpio, the eclipses in Aries and Libra will be in your houses of health and work habits, as well as secrets and hidden enemies. Hidden health issues become evident at this time. Make sure you're eating healthy, exercising, and getting enough sleep. A lot of Scorpios are changing jobs, quitting jobs, starting new jobs, and especially in like the service industry or human services industry, nursing, teaching, even counseling or divination work. Unlike some of the work that you've done in the past, these new jobs will be more emotionally and mentally fulfilling. Like Leos and Taurians, Scorpios have gone through a lot in the past several years, especially with the Uranus and Taurus transit, the Saturn and Aquarius transit, and the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. These transits have stripped many Scorpios down to the bone, but it's also giving you some clarity about what is important in life. And some of you are now refusing to work at any job or career or get in any relationship that does not validate who you are. You want to be appreciated and well compensated for your contribution to the workplace, or you want to be appreciated for, the support you give to your partner, members of your family, or even society in general. Some Scorpios will be figuring out how to earn more money faster. You'll be more focused on money matters this year in general. In May, Jupiter is moving from your 7th house of marriage, partnerships, and open enemies to your 8th house of secrets, betrayals, tax debts, and inheritances. Some of you will be inheriting resources from a departed relative. You may also receive a hefty tax payment, insurance payout, or divorce settlement. Conversely, some of you may be sued for not paying your debts, which will feel demoralizing. Some Scorpios will be asking, why can't they catch a break? So even though Jupiter in the 8th house can be a challenging transit, the 8th house is the home of Scorpio. So many of you may get lucky and avoid stiff penalties, litigations, or judgments, okay? Scorpios, if you have gotten away with doing something illegal, please stop, okay? Please stop doing the things that will get you in trouble in the future. At some point, everybody gets caught. And if you are doing these negative things or these criminal activities while Pluto is in a square aspect to your sun or ascendant, the likelihood of you getting in trouble for these indiscretions and criminal activities will increase at this time. So please behave, Scorpios. Not all Scorpios. I'm not saying all Scorpios, but I'm talking the ones that have been doing the wrong thing and getting away with it. Okay? So at some point during this 20-year cycle, you will have to adjust your ego. There may be scandals or disappointments that bring you back down to earth. Pluto cycles are very long, so there are going to be some harmonious experiences, but also some challenging ones. The name of the game is to adapt, release, pivot, and adjust. If you insist on making the same mistakes repeatedly, the consequences will be unbearable during this Pluto and Aquarius transit. While Jupiter's in the 7th house, some of you may have established a working relationship with people or even started a new romantic situation. But with the influence of Uranus, these interactions probably ended abruptly. Do not feel too bad about it. The fleeting relationships are helping you to align your energy with the powerful people who you will be meeting over the next 20 years, like Taurus and Leo. I suggest you go to the gym to work through your anger, aggression, paranoia, anxiety, or whatever negative energies that are holding you back from releasing the toxic aspects of your ego identity. Opportunities will come to you when you cultivate healthy personal relationships with others that are not shrouded in mystery, deceit, or distrust. Learn to open your heart to others. Again, Scorpio. Now let's get into Saturn. Saturn and Neptune are currently in your 5th house of romance, children, and creative expression. Some of you are taking your hobbies more seriously. You are trying to manage your time efficiently to increase your creative output. Your relationship with your children will grow to be more distant as they reach certain developmental milestones, like the first day of school, graduating high school, the first job, going off to college, getting married. You have to give your child the freedom to develop their own identity and sense of self. At the same time, continue to provide them with love, stability, and protection. Initially, you may feel a little sad about your children, but then you'll feel joyous and a little bit relieved that your child is ready to take on the world as an adult or a growing individual. If you're in a long-term relationship, you may discover secrets about your partner that make you feel betrayed, or you're going through an experience where you feel depressed, dejected, and even exhausted because you don't have the freedom to enjoy alone time. If you're in an unrequited love situation or one-sided love affair, the Saturn and Neptune conjunction will reveal the truth about the situation, okay? And so hopefully you'll let go of something that is not giving you a good return on your investment. The next planet I'm going to discuss is Uranus and Taurus, which has been in this sign since 2018. And this transit has brought about drastic and unexpected changes to your career, home, relationships, and even your personality. For many of you, life is completely different than what it was back in 2017 or earlier. Like Taurus and Leo, you may be feeling restless and trapped in an old cycle, and you're ready to let go of old attachments that are anchoring you to dead weight from the past. Some of you have to stop yourselves from running away from your life because you have bills to pay and responsibilities to take care of. Exercise will help you to burn off some of that restlessness, irritability, anxiety, and lack of focus. It is also helpful for you to travel, to get away from your own racing, uncontrollable, and obsessive thoughts. It is easy for you to let go of people who do not fit in with your lifestyle or who are not in alignment with your life path. Pluto will be in Aquarius for most of this year and for the next 20 years, and it's going to be in your 4th house of home, family, and ancestry. Some of you may decide to move away from home for better professional opportunities, and over the next 20 years, you may move several times, not just because of family and loved ones, but because of socioeconomic and political situations that make you feel unsafe in your home. While Pluto is in Aquarius, if you have any friends, they will become like family to you. Okay, you will share many intimate moments with your friends, more so than your own flesh and blood relatives. Okay. Let's get into the retrogrades of Mercury. Mercury retrograde in the 6th, 11th, and 2nd houses. Before you can increase your earning potential, you have to improve your health and your lifestyle and develop work habits that are productive, efficient, and practical. If your body is weak, your mind will be weak as well. Productivity increases when you're of sound mind, body, and spirit. Your earning potential is directly proportional to your energetic output. You will have to reach out to your network of friends for support at some point this year. You're learning how to value your time by not wasting it. Some of you are reclaiming your time, no longer overextending yourself for bosses, coworkers, family members, or friends who are mismanaging your relationships by taking advantage of your ambition, your empathy, or your passion. So the first Mercury retrograde will be in your 6th house in March. You may hear from an old employer, or you may decide to resume working on a project that you've put on the back burner for a long time. Now you have the knowledge, skills, and the experience to complete this project. Some of you may be entering the healthcare field, social work, or the service industry. During the first retrograde, many Scorpios will be paying more attention to your health, especially if you have chronic health issues that are depleting your energy and affecting your productivity at work. Mercury is going retrograde in your 11th house in August. You may hear from people that you used to work with, old friends and associates, and some of you are also reflecting on how you can use your network to help you progress in your career. Some of you may also ask for referrals, references, and testimonials from past associates. The final retrograde of the year, Mercury is going retrograde in your 2nd house of finances and the resources that you own. Okay, so during this period, you're going to reflect on how much financial progress that you've made over the past year. If you have done the work of taking care of your body, managing your time, and collaborating with others, you will realize that you feel better about yourself because you're valuing yourself more, not just because you have more money. So now you're healthier, more financially stable, and more focused than you have been for a very long time. This year, many Scorpios will be focused on their independence, living life on their own terms, redefining their identity, and even changing their appearance so that they can attract the abundance, peace, and security that they are looking for. Sagittarius, the nodal eclipses will be affecting your 5th, 11th, and 4th houses this year. Some of you will have more freedom to enjoy love, romance, children, and creative expression this year. Even though you have freedom, you won't waste your time with frivolous activities and relationships. You will use your free time to provide yourself with more emotional and financial security. There could be changes in your home environment. You could move to a new home. Your children may leave the home, or you may downsize to a smaller home to basically manage your finances better. Casual relationships may come and go at this time, especially if there is deception or a lack of commitment from your partner. You may also lose friends or fall out with a network of people who you don't feel have your best interests at heart. In May, Jupiter will be transiting from your 6th house into your 7th house of marriage and partnerships. At some point in the middle of the year, you realize that you have been working so hard that you have neglected your relationship. There's also a possibility of a work relationship turning romantic over the course of the next year. Many Sagittarians may meet a future spouse this year, or there could be a decision to split from an unfulfilling relationship. Opportunities will come to you when you serve others and work as a team player. Uranus will remain in your 6th house of work habits, health habits, and lifestyle until 2025. A lot of you are switching things up in this area. You may lose jobs, quit jobs, or change careers at this time. You cannot tolerate restriction and boredom in the workplace. You need variety, you need constant changes, and you need the freedom to come and go as you please. You also need to be able to control your own schedule and your workflow. Many of you have decided to become freelancers, consultants, gig workers, or any other profession where you don't have a boss micromanaging your every move. Some Sagittarians would prefer not to have the same work schedule or the same work tasks 2 days in a row, and some of you may even travel a lot for work. You have a lot of creative ideas that you want to implement, and you don't want to have to follow this chain of command to do what you think is best for the company. This year, Sagittarians are also interested in changing their diet so that they can improve their health and appearance. Saturn and Neptune will be in your 4th house of home and family matters. You may experience flooding in the home, especially for 3rd decan Sagittarians, or you may come to realize that you can no longer afford the home that you have and it is best to downsize. You may decide to rent out a space in your home to help manage the bills, or again, get a smaller place, especially if you are an empty nester. You are showing more interest in securing real estate, but there may be delays due to financial constraints or circumstances beyond your control. You may also realize that you have to change your career, work more hours, or get a second job to maintain your home or to purchase new property. Some Sagittarians may feel lonely at home, especially if you live alone. So, a lot of you may turn your home into your office or have more social gatherings with friends and families at your residence. If you are purchasing property, please look over the paperwork carefully to make sure there is no tax liens on the property, no asbestos, no structural issues, etc. Some Sagittarians will experience bittersweet moments with their children as they hit important milestones in life that change the dynamics of your relationship. Pluto will be in your 3rd house of communication for most of this year. Some of you are taking up adult learning classes or courses so that you can become more knowledgeable in your profession. Your relationships with siblings and neighbors will change drastically over the next 20 years, with some upheavals and transformations that affect interpersonal dynamics. Sagittarians will also become more interested in reading, research, psychological analysis, meditation, and public speaking so that you can communicate more effectively at your job or for your business. Now let's get into the Mercury retrograde. So for you, Sagittarius, the Mercury retrogrades will be in your 5th, 10th, and 1st houses. You are creating a new identity that honors your creativity, passion, courage, and self-mastery. By learning how to use your creative talents effectively, you will achieve much more. At some point, you will be considered an expert in your field. So the first Mercury retrograde of this year will hit your 5th house of romance, children, and creative expression. You are reflecting about romantic relationships from the past and how much you have grown from them. These relationships may have forced you to become self-sufficient and have faith in your knowledge, skills, and abilities. You realize that when you're happier, you are more successful. So you're learning to cultivate relationships that honor your joy, freedom, love, and sense of humor. You are taking stock of all the progress that you've made over the past year. And if appropriate, you will give yourself a pat on the back because you have achieved a lot of goals this year. If you are on social media, some of you may become overwhelmed by your newfound popularity, or you may be concerned about losing your authentic voice for the sake of your popularity with your audience. As a word of advice for content creators, especially mutable signs, by 2028, AI will be replacing most content creators. So please don't feel bad or anxious if you don't receive as many views on your channel as you usually do. I predict that within the next few years, most content creators will have to do twice as much work for half the amount of money that they're earning today. So either your numbers will increase, but the payout decreases, the funding structure for these platforms change, or your views will be throttled intentionally for reasons that have nothing to do with your content. So please do not be afraid of losing subscribers or facing that has nothing to do with your productivity and output for the most part. It's more so to do with the algorithm itself, and the algorithm will be intentionally throttling views and ad revenue for content creators in the near future. It won't be this year for the most part, but after 2024, after 2025, 2026, you are going to start to see a steep decline in ad revenue for content creators. And why is this happening? Well, if a company can generate an AI influencer that does not need to get paid, that can attract the attention of the public or the masses, that won't say controversial things to get the platform demonetized. These social media platforms would rather keep most of the revenue for themselves, and the AI model would receive, I don't know, the people creating the AI model or scripting for the AI model, they will receive a little bit of money, but the AI model will get the most of the attention and most of the brand recognition, most of the popularity, to the attention, et cetera, et cetera. And, human content creators will at some point fall out of favor. But for the second retrograde of the year, Mercury will go into Virgo in your 10th house in August. Some Sagittarians are reflecting on their career and social status and how they can change the public's perception of them to increase their popularity, success, and resources. I think this is something that all content creators or people who use the internet even, or people with the media will have to contend with. If you don't work in these professions, you are reevaluating some career plans that you have made recently. You may want to make some adjustments due to unexpected changes in the workplace. There's also a possibility that some of you may lose a job, especially as Saturn goes into the 10th house. That's a remote possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen for the majority of you. It's going to happen to very few Sagittarians, which is not a big deal. You guys are going to find something relatively quickly. You're going to bounce back. And so don't worry too much about it if you do lose a job this year. Just make sure that you are, being financially or fiscally responsible, you're saving your money, and you're not overextending yourself financially when it comes to your living expenses. In November, Mercury will go retrograde in your first house. During this period, you are paying more attention to your own needs, to your identity, to your personality, and even your relationships, especially if you have gone through some recent unexpected lifestyle changes or changes to your career or relationship changes. Some of you will take stock of how much you've accomplished over the past 12 months, which is a lot because you have a lot more energy, confidence, and focus in 2024 than you have had in a long time. Many Sagittarians are craving intimacy, marriage, and partnerships this year. So they're working on aspects of themselves that they believe will make them more attractive to the opposite sex. Now, Chiron is in Aries in your 5th house of romance and children. You're learning how to deal with issues of feeling unimportant, feeling invalidated, being dismissed, being ridiculed or disrespected, not being able to express yourself. You have learned how to resolve those issues over the past several years. And for those of you who are still working through that, you have some time to complete this process until Chiron goes into Taurus in a couple of years. So congratulations to you guys. I don't know why I feel like congratulating Sagittarians. A lot of you have really worked hard to make progress in your life and to walk away from past situations that have diminished your value, that have left you feeling depleted, unappreciated, embarrassed, and even insignificant, you've worked through all those things. So yes, this year you're going to have some changes, but you'll be able to roll with the punches much easier. Make sure you look over contracts carefully. Make sure you pay attention to the red flags in relationships. Neptune is still squaring your sun sign, so you are susceptible to being deceived or to deluding yourself into thinking that a person has feelings for you that doesn't exist, or vice versa. Okay. Now on to the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn, the eclipses of 2024 will affect your fourth house, 10th house, and third houses. Career matters will affect your living situation, and some of you may decide to go back to school, pick up a trade, or even take a few online courses to brush up your skills. A lot of you will be moving to new homes throughout the year because of your career as well. You are taking stock of your accomplishments and setting new goals for yourself as you move into the next phase of your life. Capricorns may see a rise or decline in their power or social status because of a family or marital situation. You may not be able to work as much, or you may decide to retire from your career or yet again move for work. As you learn to love and accept yourself, you will feel more secure on the home front and even when it comes to your career and profession. Your relationship dynamics are changing as well, and many of you may cut off people or relationships that do not have any longevity. Okay? Capricorns may also be changing their sexual habits, choosing to commit to one partner after years of playing the field. Jupiter will be transiting from your fifth house of romance and children and creative expression to your sixth house of work and health. A small percentage of Capricorns may experience unexpected pregnancies, especially with a Uranus and Taurus conjunction. You may take on extra work, start a new business or a job, or even start a new fitness or workout regimen. You want to feel healthy and strong so that you can be more productive at your job. You will have more opportunities for professional or career advancement. Some Capricorns will make up for lost time by putting in extra hours to build their businesses, launch a project, or just clocking in more hours on their regular job. Uranus has been in your fifth house since 2018. Some of you have experienced unexpected pregnancies after reckless sexual behavior. Many of you wanted freedom in your relationship, so you chose not to commit to or marry anyone long term. Some Capricorns will be ending a long term relationship or marriage to be with someone more exciting and completely different from your usual type. Traditional relationships have not been appealing to you, and this has caused a lot of disruption and instability in your life. If you have been in a long term relationship, your partner may give you an ultimatum to commit or quit. And as I mentioned earlier, even if you have fun with this person, if you don't see yourself with this person long term because of personality conflicts or social status or income level or whatever, if you don't see that, if you don't think you can build with this person, then you'll end the relationship. Relationships will come and go if your partner does not give you the freedom to be your own person and to live life on your own terms. While Jupiter and Uranus is in your fifth house, your relationships with your children may be inconsistent or untraditional. Your children may have more freedom than they're used to having, which is great, but make sure that you give them structure, balance, and stability. Saturn and Neptune will be in your third house of communication, learning, short distance travel. You're thinking clearer, more focused, and you're ready to take tests, learn new skills, and even go back to school. Since Neptune has been in the third house, many of you have had difficulty concentrating on your goals, and your mind has been uncharacteristically unstable and unfocused. Some news or information could jolt you back to reality, and you're ready to resume your position as a boss, manager, leader, and authority in your own life. You're thinking about life more seriously now, which will help you to turn your dreams into reality. With the support of Uranus and Jupiter, you will feel very creative and confident in your skills and abilities. Neptune in third house could also manifest as a deceptive communication, unclear communication. There could be some learning disabilities or difficulties at this time. So, yeah, you are welcoming the transit of Saturn into your third house because now you're more focused and more grounded and even more rational and objective instead of emotional and illogical. Now for the big news. Pluto is finally leaving your sign after 14 years. Congratulations to you, Capricorn. You have successfully completed this phase of your life. Some of you are a little banged up and bruised, but definitely more stronger, stable, independent, and resilient. You have worked really hard to get to where you are today, so don't make any apologies for your success or your failures. With Pluto moving to Aquarius, many of you will experience financial ups and downs through the next 20 years. What was once a sure thing may seem like less than a guarantee. Your attitude about finances and your self worth will go through a radical change as you learn how to value yourself, not for what you have, but for who you are as a person. Now let's get into the Mercury retrogrades. Mercury will go retrograde in your fourth house, ninth house, and 12th houses this year. To liberate yourself from restrictions and self-destructive habits, you have to face childhood or mommy issues, which may have caused you to have a distorted or limited view of the world. If you are controlling, possessive, or insecure, get to the root of why you feel this way. Some of you may use religion or culture or tradition to justify toxic attitudes and behavior, which is contributing to a deep sense of feeling ungrounded, unsafe, unimportant, and unloved. So, with Mercury retrograding in Aries in your fourth house, you are returning to the past. You're returning to your roots, to your mother, and you're having honest conversations with her or with your family about how your childhood has affected your self-esteem, your family dynamics, and even your relationships. If you are competitive, ambitious, and very successful, you may have been trying to overcompensate for being unseen, unheard, and dismissed as a child. If you're not where you want to be in life, it is for the same reason of feeling invalidated or even like a burden or a nuisance to your mother or your family. There's a deep sense of psychological or spiritual poverty that is causing you to sabotage interpersonal relationships. The good news is that these eclipses in Aries and Libra are aspecting Chiron in Aries, which will be very healing for you. You're learning how to love yourself so that you can have healthier relationships with your family, friends, loved ones, and the world in general. In August, Mercury will go retrograde in your ninth house of long distance travel, higher education, religion, philosophy, and foreign affairs. You are reevaluating or reassessing your education, your beliefs, and even your religion, especially if your indoctrination contradicts the reality of your life experiences. You are working through cognitive dissonance, which will help you to embrace new belief systems, new philosophies, and a new attitude about life in general. Some of you may decide to go back to school to become educators, lawyers, or theologians. You may also consider traveling long distances to meet with family or friends. At the end of the year, Mercury is going retrograde in Sagittarius, and this is in your 12th house of secrets, endings, and self sabotage. You will be reflecting on how you have sabotaged relationships and opportunities in your life because of unresolved trauma and shameful or painful secrets. These secrets have taken control of your life, even though you think you're hiding them from other people. You may suffer from compulsive habits or addictions that stem from childhood issues, which you have buried deep within your psyche. Until you deal with the shadow aspects of your identity, you will never feel worthy of love and respect. So the retrogrades this year will have many Capricorns focusing on relationships, more so relationships from the past, how those relationships ended, how they contributed to the end of those relationships, why they engaged in these relationships the way that they did. So yeah, Capricorns are going to be going through a lot of soul searching this year, as many signs are, which is interesting. Not surprising, really. All right, now on to Aquarius. Aquarius, the eclipses will take place in your third, ninth, and second houses in 2024. You are looking at the world differently. You're understanding how your attitudes and beliefs are a reflection of how you feel about yourself. Chiron is in your third house of communication, short journeys, and reasoning. Some of you continue to engage in lopsided or imbalanced relationships because you don't believe you deserve any better than that. And because of this attitude, your finances will be affected. Some of you may exchange money for love, sex, and intimacy. You may even experience financial betrayal after finding out your partner is using you for your resources. Of course, this will not apply to all Aquarians, but a lot of you will easily fall for flattering words and fake gestures of love because as a child or as a young adult, you may have been bullied, abused, or neglected. And so many of you are craving words of affirmation, words of respect, words of support and safety and comfort in order to feel secure within yourself. Jupiter will be transiting from your fourth house to your fifth house in May of this year. Your focus will shift from home and family matters to love, relationships, and even children. You will be in the mood for love. And if you still can get pregnant, please make sure you take the proper precautions to avoid getting pregnant if you don't want to have a baby because you're going to be more fertile this year. Okay. This year, you're going to want to have more fun. You're going to want to splurge, spend, travel, fall in love, go to movies, concerts, fancy restaurants, etc., etc. But Neptune and Saturn will be in a square aspect to Jupiter. So the relationships that you're starting this year may come with added responsibilities and some sprinkle of deception, especially if you insist on giving your resources to people who don't deserve it. Please do your due diligence when vetting relationship partners. With Jupiter in the fourth house, you will have opportunities to move into a bigger home or you're expanding the size of your home. You will also be spending more money within your home. You attract new opportunities when you change your environment and you change your deeply entrenched attitudes that keep you repeating the same mistakes in relationships. Jupiter in the fifth house will make you more attractive to the opposite sex or vice versa. Enjoy yourself, but do so responsibly because Pluto is finally in your sign, which I will discuss shortly. Now let's get into Uranus and Taurus. Uranus has been in your fourth house since 2018. Many of you have moved homes several times, or there have been unexpected changes within your home, relationships, and career. Many Aquarians have started and ended relationships unexpectedly or abruptly, which has affected your home situation, your finances, and again, your career. You may be living in an untraditional family situation or dynamic, living with in laws, stepchildren, or relatives. Something's unusual with your home environment, and you do not have complete control over your domain. Every time you think something is one way, it goes the other way. As an Aquarian, these experiences may be exciting, but you do need to take time out for yourself, exercise self care, rest, spend some time with friends and loved ones who really care about you, and just enjoy yourself without the pressures of maintaining a relationship or household or taking care of children, etc. Before Uranus enters Gemini in 2025, many of you may be relocating again. Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces, which is your second house of finances, self-esteem, and value. For the past 11 years, many of you have suffered financial instability, insecurity, or losses because of self-esteem issues. Friends, family, and lovers may have used you for money, resources, support, and time, especially if you have been too generous because you're looking for love, acceptance, and approval. With Neptune in the second house, many of you may not have been aware of how much money you have been spending or how much debt you have incurred. This year, it is important to take a realistic assessment of your finances so that you can have the power and the freedom to move the way you want to move. Your earning potential may have increased over the past several years, but many of you have made poor investments in people, places, and situations that have depreciated in value. This year, you have the opportunity to get your financial house in order, but you have to be disciplined and make sacrifices and stop opening your wallet to people who are just using you for what you have. Now, Pluto is entering your sign of Aquarius later this month, and it's going to be here for 20 years. This will be the most important transit of your life, Aquarius, okay? Many of you can already feel the surge of energy and strength coursing through your body. Like many other fixed signs, a lot of Aquarians have started to go to the gym to strengthen their bodies so that they can manage their energy constructively. Pluto is a complicated planet because it does cause extreme ebbs and flows, especially if you're not disciplined. Over the next 20 years, you will be forced to change how you see yourself and how you relate to others. Your ego will be stress tested, broken, and rebuilt, especially after dealing with challenging experiences like divorces, layoffs, deaths in the family, or even serious health issues that you may have to deal with. This Pluto transit is giving you the strength to survive the worst and be stronger for it. Some of you will have to confront your relationship with power, whether it's the loss of power, the management of power, or the sharing of power. Mercury is going to be retrograde in your 3rd, 8th, and 10th houses this year. Major progress and achievements will be made after resolving intimacy issues and emotional baggage that depletes your energy and resources. Mercury is going to go retrograde in Aries, which is your 3rd house of communication. So a lot of Aquarians are going to realize that you suffer from deep insecurities and self-esteem issues that are negatively affecting your love life. You have to analyze your internal dialogue. The way you think about yourself, the way you speak about yourself, the way you think about relationships is causing you to go through psychological and emotional upheaval because people are treating you the way that you think you deserve to be treated, for better or worse. Some Aquarians will have to face the fact that they are the common denominator in their dysfunctional relationships because, again, they're suffering from a lot of unhealed trauma and low self-esteem. The second Mercury retrograde will be in Virgo, which is your 8th house of other people's resources, debts, taxes, insurance policies, divorce payments, etc. So you're thinking about your relationship with money and sex. Some of you choose to participate in transactional relationships to have control over your partner or vice versa. These situations usually end up in disappointment or betrayal because your partner is pretty much shadowboxing with you. They are mirroring your dysfunction and your control issues back to you. It is time to be critical in matters of love, intimacy, and finances. You're learning how to manage your money better because you're learning how to manage your energy and your time better. You're not going to waste your time with people who are just using you for what you have. Third Mercury retrograde will be in Sagittarius, which is your 11th house of friendships, groups, and associations. Some of you may hang out with old friends for fun and emotional support, especially if you spent most of the year hanging out with romantic partners. Some Aquarians may finally realize that in spite of all their accomplishments, they may still feel unfulfilled or incomplete, regardless of their relationship status. This again is largely in part due to social conditioning, childhood upbringing, and indoctrination, which has shaped your attitude and beliefs about yourself and relationships in general. Now, I will say that the opposite side of Aquarius is Leo, which is a sign of love and romance. So there's nothing wrong with loving love, but you have to love love in a balanced, harmonious, and a fair way. You cannot get what you want every time, and the person you're dealing with cannot always get what they want. So you have to learn how to take your ego out of relationships. Even if you are doing everything for your partner, you're making all these sacrifices, you have to ask yourself why you're doing this. Are you being this generous because you genuinely want to help the person, or because that is your passive aggressive way of asking for love, appreciation, respect, and loyalty? Now, you can just ask for those things and you can do other things to get loyalty. You should not have to pay for your partner's irresponsible behavior just because you have feelings for them, okay? And anybody who will allow you or let you jeopardize your security for them, they don't really care about you anyway, right? So overall, Aquarians will be changing the way that they think about themselves and the world. Much of what they've learned is being challenged by people and situations that are causing emotional and psychological turmoil on a consistent basis. So you're learning how to think differently so you can behave differently in your relationships, okay? All right, the last sign is Pisces. Alrighty, now for the sign of Pisces, thank you for joining me. This year, the eclipses will affect your second, eighth, and first houses. For 2024, many Pisceans are dealing with matters of finance, intimacy, sexuality, betrayal, and self-image. For many Pisceans, the challenges that you face this year may be easily apparent to others through you, no matter how much you try to hide what you're going through. Your personal issues become a matter of public record or a public scrutiny for some reason. Chiron has been in your second house of self-esteem and personal issues since 2018. You have had to deal with matters of financial abuse, manipulation, exploitation, or mismanagement, all of which are a manifestation of low self-worth, low self-esteem, insecurities, etc. Some of you are looking for new sources of income to finance a lifestyle that you cannot afford, or you're in relationships with individuals who are using you for your resources, whether it's fame, money, or your network. There may be an obvious power imbalance in your relationships due to age, resources, or even social status. Jupiter will be transiting from your third house to your fourth house this year. Some of you are looking to move into a bigger home, but first you are acquiring the knowledge and the skills that you need to create alternative sources of income so that you can afford what you want. Over the past year, you've learned quite a lot about resource management. Some of you may have borrowed money from friends or family to cover unexpected expenses, and some Pisceans have spent a lot of time traveling short distances to visit family and friends. When Jupiter moves into your fourth house, your home may be expanding in occupancy or size, which means that your living expenses may also very well increase. Make sure you commit to a situation that is sustainable in the long term. Don't let other people spend your money for you. Now, Uranus is going into Gemini in a couple of years. So whatever changes that you're making to your home right now will more than likely not be permanent, okay? Now let's get into Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are both in your sign through 2025, which I think is absolutely a blessing. Many Pisceans and their other mutable signs have been influenced by the mystical, magical fairy dust that is Neptune. And this has affected all aspects of your life, from your career, finances, relationships, and living situations. Some of you have experienced profound disappointment in these areas, or in love matters, particularly over the past 13 years. There were some really beautiful moments followed by disillusionment, despair, and maybe even bitterness. However, with the transit of Saturn in Pisces, you are getting some relief. You are seeing people and situations more clearly, which will give you the presence of mind to commit your time, energy, and resources to things that are practical, realistic, and sustainable. Now, in some cases, this clarity comes after painful truths that are revealed about your relationships, your career, and even your reputation. During this Saturn transit, many Pisceans will feel the weight of the world on their shoulders, but they feel responsible for shouldering the burdens so that others can live life comfortably. At some point, the yoke will get so heavy that you'll be asking yourself, why are you doing this? And how can you make your life easier? How can you put your needs first? Fortunately, since we're at the end of the Neptune transit through your sign, you've had enough experiences to identify the red flags. Now let's talk about Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is currently transiting through your third house of thinking and communication. And to be quite honest, I believe this transit, coupled with Neptune in your sign, has made many Pisceans mentally and emotionally erratic or unstable. Some of you guys may have started saying or doing things that are out of character for you. Uranus in the third house is looking for freedom of mind and movement. You cannot tolerate conversations and situations that are repetitive and lead to nowhere. This transit may have also affected your relationship with your siblings. There could have been unexpected separations and divisions, or just drifting apart to live your own life. Your erratic behavior may have pushed away friends and family and loved ones even, or you have intentionally immersed yourself in the world of the unusual or the unfamiliar, befriending people of different religions, cultures, nationalities, races, and even socioeconomic classes. You are doing and saying things that you thought you'd never do, probably in the name of love. In some rare cases, Pisceans may have experienced mental or emotional breakdowns during this Uranus and Taurus transit. Many of you, your mind is constantly racing. You're electrified by random thoughts and impulses, and this could be for better or worse. Many Pisceans have become more psychic or intuitive at this time, and you guys have come up with some great ideas for your art, for your projects, for your businesses, for music, etc. So that's a great thing. These impulses are telling you to move, though. But where are you moving? Neptune in Pisces has you galloping through the fog, and Uranus in Taurus has you thinking erratically. Thankfully, Saturn is acting as a benefic in this instance, in my opinion. With Saturn joining Neptune in Pisces, this energy is tempering some of the mental instability and the idealism that you've had in your life over the past several years. Now let's get into Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is entering your 12th house of endings, self-undoing, and imagination. This transit will help you to excavate the deepest recesses of the subconscious mind to transform the hidden aspects of your identity. The catalyst for this self-examination will more than likely be deep feelings of depression, despair, or crippling addiction. And many of you are afraid of having peace and happiness, so you unintentionally cause turmoil in your life and in the lives of others. Pluto in the 12th house is similar to having Pluto in the first for you, so many of you will be going through similar experiences as Aquarians. But Aquarian confrontations with power will manifest externally through relationships and outer circumstances. And for Pisceans, the confrontations are more internal, subjective, and intensely personal and private. The dream state will become more lucid for you during the Pluto and Aquarius transit. Initially, you may experience nightmares or painful dreams about loss and helplessness and even weakness. But over the next 20 years, you will notice that your dreams will become more positive and affirming because you have courageously faced your shadow side, taking responsibility and accountability for your wrongdoings, forgiving and releasing old traumas, and finally accepting that you have as much right to live as everyone else. Your life is not less important than anyone else's, and vice versa. On the other hand, your life is not necessarily more important than anyone else's. It's not fair for you to punish people who have done nothing wrong to you either. I'm not saying that this applies to all Pisceans. It does not. But there are some Pisceans who have been traumatized, who have been hurt. And so they justify hurting others because things have happened to them. So with Pluto and Aquarius in the 12th house, you are dealing with things on both sides of the spectrum, okay? Really want Pisceans to love themselves so much that they have too much pride to destroy themselves because of what someone else is doing. During the Pluto in the 12th house transit, your ego will be crystallized as you fight demonic frequencies that try to steal your joy, peace, and vitality. And these negative frequencies can manifest themselves as negative thoughts or toxic people. You are becoming aware of how your attitudes and your behaviors and your beliefs is a source of your own turmoil and not other people. Other people are just mirroring back to you how you feel about yourself. Okay. So if you feel unwanted, if you feel worthless, if you feel less than, then you're going to meet people who treat you this way, especially while Pluto is in the 12th house. So you're going to be dealing with issues of identity, of existence. Do you have the right to be here? Do you want to be here? Why are you here? Who are you? Are you your trauma? Are you your past? Are you your pain? Are you your feelings of abandonment? Or do you have an identity that's separate from that? You're going to be asking these questions over the next 20 years. Now let's get into the retrogrades of Mercury. Mercury will be going retrograde in your 2nd, 7th, and 10th houses this year. Your personal accomplishments are helping you to resolve relationship and self-esteem issues. When Mercury goes retrograde in Aries, it's going to be in your 2nd house. That's the first retrograde of the year. You'll be more focused on financial matters and new ways that you can earn more money. What you realize is that you have to value yourself before you can value what you have to offer to the world. At the end of this transit, you will have the confidence and the knowledge and the skills to share your creativity with the world. If you're not creating a product or service, you're going to start to ask yourself questions about self-esteem, self-love, self-care, self-awareness. How are you treating the people, places, and things that you value? If you're treating them like crap, more than likely you are treating yourself the same way or you see yourself the same way. You're learning how to take care of the things that you value in a way that honors it. Like if you have a relationship or you own property and you treat it like crap, then you're not honoring these things. So why are you wasting time dealing with people, places, and things that you don't honor and you don't value? Because you don't value yourself. You don't value your own time. Okay. Now we're dealing with the retrograde in Virgo in the 7th house in August. So you're going to be focused on your marriage or relationships or business partnerships at this time. Are you making too many sacrifices for your partner? How is your relationship affecting your productivity at work? How can you help each other to make life easier for your entire family? During this transit, many Pisceans will find out about deceptions that may cause confusion and disappointment. So some of you may regret the way you treated past partners or vice versa. And if that's the case, your ex will reach out to you to apologize or even to reconcile with you. You will attempt to square the circle in your relationships during this transit. There's also going to be discussions about marriage or commitment if you've been in a long-term relationship. But with Saturn and Neptune in opposition to Mercury at this time, make sure that you're honest, make sure that you're transparent, make sure that you're sincere, and make sure you're listening to what is being said, not what you want to hear during these conversations about love, relationship, marriage, commitment, partnership, etc. So the final Mercury retrograde of the year will be in Sagittarius in your 10th house of career, social status, and accomplishment. You are thinking about your legacy during this period. How will people remember you? Have you accomplished your goals? Have your Uranian antics over the past several years tarnished or solidified your legacy? Some of you may be reconsidering your career path, going back to something you once loved doing, or changing your career altogether. Pisceans are trying to rediscover themselves after years of loss, instability, confusion, depression, and even public humiliation. On a final note, during the course of the year, many Pisceans may have to lose power so that they can find power. The loss of power may happen in your career, your home situation, your relationships, your public image. Losing external sources of power and validation will help you to reconnect with and strengthen your internal sources of power. This means that you won't need to use other people's existence in your life to justify your own existence. You don't need someone else to love, value, and appreciate you to have permission to love, value, and appreciate yourself. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year. I look forward to reading your feedback. If you want to order a personal reading, you can go to my website. The link is in the description box. I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.